Now, Fred, how old are you?
How old am I?
How old are you?
A well-kept 77.
77, a very well-kept 77.
Well, I eat a lot of black jelly beans. You guys eat the white ones. They goo you up. Don't eat those, man. Stay with the black jelly beans, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
How is Fred Williamson at 77?
I don't explain me. I just let people experience me.
Give me a better answer. Give me a shot.
Hey,
Give me something.
I'm healthy.
You're 77 years old.
I've never had a headache. I've never had a toothache. I've never had a stomach ache. I'm fine, man. I mean, I do all my own stunts. I'm a martial arts guy. I still got 4 black belts in martial arts, so I'm doing good.
Okay. Now, in a moment, I want you to just assess your impact on 1970s cinema. But before you do, I want to have a go.
Yeah.
And tell me how I go.
Right.
Okay. There would be a lot of actors. Denzel Washington, Danny Glover, Eddie Murphy, Wesley Snipes. As A-list black actors who have made a couple of bucks from action films probably need to be sending you Christmas cards every year in thanks. You are one of the pioneers of black cinema in the 1970s. You helped establish the novel idea of the alpha black male on screen, a figure who is triumphant and who is victorious and who does not have to apologize for his color. How's that sound?
Yeah.
They owe you a lot. You helped establish that archetype, did you not?
But there's a reason, you know. I had goals. My goal was not to be an actor. My goal was not to be a movie star. My goal was to send a message that blacks are marketable, because there's an audience out there that has not been satisfied based on what they see in the movies and based on what they see on the screen. So I decided that if I was going to come into the industry, I was going to come in on my own terms. I was going to come in like I left professional football, the hammer, the tough guy. I don't do comedy, I don't sing, I don't dance. That doesn't mean I don't know how. But that is not the image I wanted to project to society, because they needed heroes in those days. They had no heroes. The black people were being washed down on the corner by police with hose, sticking dogs on them. So they needed somebody who stood up.
You went into film with a very definite agenda. You wanted to change the image of black males on screen. Can you tell me what it was that you were seeing in the culture around you that inspired that? Very
simple. You kill the black guy in the first 5 minutes and let Schwarzenegger avenge him. If I'm coming into the industry, you're going to kill Schwarzenegger, let me avenge him. You know, I had 3 rules when I came into Hollywood. I called a press conference and I said, I have 3 rules. You adhere to these, I'm in your film. 1, you can't kill me in a movie. 2, I have to win all my fights in the movie. And 3, I get the girl at the end of the movie if I want her. You do 2 out of 3 of those, and I'm coming into your movie. I cannot be bought. My integrity is not for sale.
But tell me about the power of cinema that you recognized back then.
Well, you know, the power of cinema for me was making a film that was as controversial as I could get it and make sure that everybody saw it. Based on the narrow-mindedness of society at that particular time, I decided to make a Western called The Legend of Nigger Charlie. What I did was I made the film, then I took a billboard on 42nd Street in New York, 40 feet high, and it just said, "He's coming." After 2 weeks, I changed it. It was me with my shirt off, 2 guns to my side, arms folded, and said, "Nigger Charlie has arrived." And at the bottom, it listed all the theaters that it was playing. I had lines wrapped around the block trying to see what this movie was about.
But what was it specifically about the medium of cinema that attracted you in terms of wanting to influence a generation of black kids?
Well, because there was a market that was totally missed. They were not aware or not even considering that there was a black audience out there who wanted to go to the movies and have their popcorn and Coca-Cola and watch their stars other than Mantan Moreland or Stephen Fletcher. They wanted a more positive image, and I knew that I could bring that because that was the way I lived my life. You know, being a success that I've done has come from a positive image of myself. Not how other people see me, but how I see myself.
Now, can you just quickly just give us the stepping stones to Nigger Charlie? Because you were in MASH, yeah, and you were in Julia,
right,
and there you were just meeting people by happenstance in the canteen at the studio while you were making Julia when you were approached to be in MASH. How did that then lead on to your first film?
What I was selling was a image of Fred Williamson. I am maybe in real life what you see on the screen, other than killing people, but my reputation has always been a tough guy. Whether or not I'm a tough guy doesn't really matter, because I have an image and a reputation and a style that dictates if you challenge what you see, you may win, but at the same time, you're going to lose something. So I had something to sell. I had my personality, I had my character, and I was not going to give that away if I got into the industry. So I decided, looking at what I saw, it was still killing the black guy in the first 5 minutes and letting the other guy, you know, be the hero. And that's not the way I was coming into the industry.
Are you satisfied, Fred, that you had the impact on that generation of young people, young black people, that you wanted to change the image of the black man on screen?
No, I'm not satisfied with anything I've done. I haven't really done yet what I want to do, and what I want to do, I don't really know. I know that in my life and what I've done now, what I'm doing is still not on the grandeur scale that I want it to be on. I look like this because something is preserving me. Something is saving me to look like this, because there's something I haven't done yet, something that I haven't accomplished yet, that I look like this at 77.
Might that have something to do with an approach from a studio? Because as far back as 1990, you yourself identified the unlikelihood of a studio coming and offering you a deal because you're so controversial.
It has something to do with don't give a poo-poo.
But would you like that? Would you like an offer from a studio?
Oh, no. I don't want that. No.
Can
Like I say, you give me 20 million from a studio, I'll make 10 movies and give you 10 million back and make a profit on each one of those. That's how I feel.
You don't think that ultimately you had an impact on the kids watching your movies back then, or on the culture? Because again, I'm trying to give you credit.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington, Wesley Snipes, Eddie Murphy, Danny Glover, every black guy who's made a buck out of a big action film. The only reason why they've done that is because that archetype had to be established first. You were one of the guys in the 70s who did that.
Well, you know,
I'm trying to give you credit, Fred
Williamson. It's not
Williams.
that broad. Here's the way it comes. They say, give me Fred Williamson. Then 10 years later, they give me somebody who looks like Fred Williamson. Give me somebody who acts like Fred Williamson. Give me somebody that is cool as Fred Williamson. So these actors coming along, find out that's the way. That's the way to be. And so they mimic or listen and watch. So that's the transition of give me Fred Williamson and give me someone who acts like Fred Williamson. So that's where they are in those films. When I see people like American Gangster, Denzel doing American Gangster, and he's mimicking me walking down the street with the bad guys, taking care of his mother, doing all that stuff, that's Black Caesar. So I smile, I chuckle on that stuff.
Yeah.
I look at Quentin Tarantino, who makes Inglourious Bastards, and I made Inglourious Bastards in 1976. What he did was change the spelling to bastards, to bastard. So
He also did Django. And
did Django, and I did The Legend
Charlie.
of Nigga Charlie. But to me, that's homage. You know, okay, so you're playing homage to me. Thank you very much.
So you do acknowledge that you have had an influence on the artists working today, on the directors and the styles working today, as you say.
Only because what you have to sell is your character.
Yeah.
You can't depend on the special effects and other actors around you to pull you through. What you sell and what they see is what you have to sell.
No.
If that ain't real, then it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, in terms of the directors working today and the actors working today, I'm just wanting to know if you believe that they do take reference to you, that you did influence.
Only when
their
they see
work.
me. Only when they see me.
Okay.
When they shake my hand and say blah, 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 hey, I like you, boom, boom, boom. But I don't believe it.
Yeah, what do you mean? You think you've become an invisible character? Or
No,
something?
they don't give the credit. No, I mean, everybody that does something today feel like they invented it themselves. They don't give credit. History is something that's somebody else to reckon with.
Yeah.
What they do, they feel that they created. You know.
And just coming back to the A-list black actors and directors today, do you feel that a lot of them have their own production companies?
I don't know about that. Who does?
Doesn't Denzel Washington have his own production company?
If he does, he's not using it.
Okay, well, that's actually even more relevant then. Because my question to you is, could they not have banded together by now and formed a really great studio?
No, that's not a black thing. If they want to put together a barbecue stand or a liquor store, fine. Business-wise, No, I tried to do that with Jim Brown, Bernie Casey, Richard Roundtree, and we couldn't get past arguing about who was going to be president of the company because we're not there yet. Socially, we're not there yet that we can work together as a group and put it together. We're not there yet. I mean, there are some black folks can argue that, but you can argue all you want to because all you got to do is look around. You don't see it happening anywhere. It is a slave mentality. Slave mentality, the head nigger who worked in the field and his wife cooked in the kitchen would go to the field house, go back to the kitchen. She would sneak him 4 or 5 pieces of chicken. He'd run down back there where the slave quarters were and bury it and hide it. He didn't share it. He didn't give it to his brothers and say, here's some chicken, man, so you can have some chicken, you can have some chicken, you get big and strong, and we can kick butt and get out of here. It didn't happen like that. We have not progressed that far. We're maybe and hopefully we're getting better, but I promise you, if you look at all these guys making all this money, there's no reason why Samuel Jackson or Will Smith or some guy that can put together a so-called black production company and make films. Why? Because they can't work together. It's real simple.
That's a very bold statement.
It's real. It's real. It's real.
I'm sensing, Fred, pride in the work that you've done,
yeah,
justifiably, but I'm also sensing disappointment with the lack of progress.
I'm a realist. I understand that they don't understand. So if they don't understand, I can't convince them.
So you're saying it would be wonderful if Will Smith and Denzel Washington and...
It would be a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. If these guys, 4 of them put together and all they got to do is make 4 films and each one star in a separate one, I mean, that's like 12 films, okay? You star in this one, you co-star in this one. If you co-star in that one, you star in the next one. They could do that down the line forever. And for them to raise money, you know, to make a film for like 10 million or 15 million as a group would be very easy for them to do. Why don't they do it? That is the reason.
That's
Can't
an incredible
work
statement.
together.